Coming up next on The Voice of Alabama Politics, a very interesting new poll. Also, Tuberville and Jones call for prison investigation. And the big question, will Senator Tuberville and former Senator Doug Jones debate?
Now, let's get one thing quite clear. I most definitely told you.
You did not.
Yes, I did.
You did not.
Yes, I did.
Didn't.
Yes, I did.
Didn't.
Yes, I did.
Look, this isn't an argument.
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't. It's just contradiction.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
Arguments, contradictions, falsehoods. We'll take it all, baby. Come on, let's have a rumble. All this and much, much more coming up next on The V. Welcome to The Voice of Alabama Politics, where we tackle the tough issues so you have the hard facts. I'm your host, Bill Britt, and as always, I'm joined by Susan Britt, research guru extraordinaire, and Josh Moon, who is back from Florida to sweet home, Alabama. Welcome back, Josh.
Yeah, man, it's been nice. Been nice. It's had a good time back. Got the little one off to school. Everything's rolling along.
All right, sounds great to me. It's interesting, and Josh, you wrote about that this week. There's a new poll that circulated widely around the state and has been covered by a lot of folks. But there's some nuances in this poll that I think deserve addressing, and that is, while the poll shows that Senator Tuberville is besting Doug Jones by 8 points, which is not what we would expect at this point. We would not expect Doug Jones to be that far in the race against Tuberville. But the interesting thing is when you look down into the poll, and what you see is there are some significant weaknesses here that, if they expand, could put Jones in a favorable position to really challenge him and perhaps even long shot, win.
Yeah, I think it was a very surprising poll, mainly because, I think the Republicans have done a pretty good job of convincing everyone that this was a no contest, no brainer sort of thing. It's going to be 20 points. Don't worry about it. We got this thing. There was that ridiculous signal poll that was out right before Jones declared for the race that seemed as though it was really the only intent of the poll was to prevent him from getting in the race or discourage him from doing so. That showed Tuberville up 20 some odd points or whatever it was. And I don't think that anybody realistically thought that was going to be the case. I think that most people kind of believed that when Jones got into this thing that he was probably 10, 12, somewhere right around in there points behind Tuberville, realistically. But national climate has changed dramatically. Tommy Tuberville there's a lot more known about Tommy Tuberville at this point than there was the last time they ran against each other. He has a record. He has things that he has been a very polarizing figure over the course of the last several years. Either you like him or you don't, and there's very little middle ground. And now we have some other things that are going on. But this poll, it polled him. It also polled the race with Barry Moore and Everett West. They're running for Senate for Tuberville's old seat. It also polled the Attorney General's race between Catherine Robertson and Jeff McLaughlin on the Democratic side. All those races held to the line. It was 56% to 32% Republican-Democrat polled in this poll. And those races held that line. The Democrats in those two races were at 31 and 32%, which was exactly what you would expect from people who self-identify as Democrats and Republicans. Jones, on the other hand, was at 41. So stands to reason that he's pulling some Republican voters away from Tuberville. Not only are they not voting for Tuberville, they're actively saying they're going to vote for Jones. And that, I think, is a bit of a problem for them.
And Susan, one of the things that we noticed in the poll is that this poll is heavily skewed Republican. The poll was conducted by Republicans for a Republican organization that is school choice folks. And so this makes it surprising that I think it was some 52%. You probably have the numbers exactly. Just tell us how the poll was skewed in the first place.
Well, they polled 601 people, and I believe the poll was 56 to 32, which is what the numbers came out in the other races, which is what makes Jones's numbers so shocking, simply because that looks like there may be some crossover votes in there. There may be, some people that decide, well, maybe Tuberville's just not my cup of tea. So that's beginning to show in these polls that it may be that people are willing to cross over and vote for Jones.
I mean, Josh, I think we've always said that Jones's pathway to victory, it runs through moderate Republicans and independents.
Yeah.
And that some of the hardcore Republicans or the moderate Republicans may stay home.
Yeah.
Rather than vote for either one.
Right. No, I think that's true still. Here's the other key about this poll is it was conducted July the 8th through the 11th, and Tommy Tuberville made his comments about data centers on July the 13th. He last week made his comments about Social Security, which he called it a scam, and it was a very, very anti-Social Security speech on the Senate floor, which was not neither of those positions. Where he called the data center thing, telling them we're going to do data centers, and called the rhetoric against them bullcrap, influenced by the Chinese propaganda. And I don't think either of those things set very well with most people, and particularly with his base support that he's got out there. And so I would be interested to see if that changed these numbers any at all. But
right.
I think you're right. It's the moderates that Tuberville is chasing, or that they're going to be sketchy on him. I think there are going to be a lot of people that say, look, Tuberville's not really my guy, but I can't bring myself to vote for a Democrat, and so I'm going to vote for Tuberville.
Sure.
That's going to happen. There's going to be more of those than go and vote for Jones. Okay. But we are looking for the combination of staying at home and also voting for Jones to get him up to that number.
I do want to remind our viewers too. You can double dot a ballot if you decide you want to vote straight ticket Democrat or straight ticket Republican, but there is one person that is on the other side. You can dot that ballot for that person, and it will not nullify your vote.
I wanted to spend more time on this topic, but we spent more time on this other topic. But I do want to, we have not seen a gubernatorial debate since Robert Bentley ran for his first term in office in 2010. I would like to see, and I think the people of Alabama deserve to see, Tuberville and Jones stand side by side. And I will say right now to both campaigns, and you'll be receiving an email from me and a direct request, that you hold a debate. And APR will be happy to sponsor these debates and work with someone like Jeff Poore over at 1819 News, so they can't say that it's slanted against Tommy Tuberville, or they can't say it's slanted against Jones. It would be very fair, and it would be open to the public. We would share the outlet with all the major news stations, and we would absolutely give you a fair forum to present your ideas, and we would follow the basic rules of good debates that allows each candidate time to make their positions known and to answer questions directly from the press, as is traditional in the state of Alabama and in the nation. Remember, even President Trump debated his opponents. So we are not challenging you to debate. What we're doing is inviting you to debate. Anyway, we're going to leave it right there. You've been watching The V, the voice of Alabama politics. We'll be right back.
Your property is your home, your investment, and your legacy. Across the country, scammers are filing fraudulent deeds, often without the owner knowing until it's too late. REACT is a free alert system. If a document is filed using your name or tied to your property, you'll be notified within 24 hours.
Property fraud is a crime, and the faster we know it, the faster we can act.
Sign up today. Protect your property, protect your legacy.
You feel the wind before you see the truck.
Yeah, those big mirrors, they come closer than you think.
We're just trying to rebuild Alabama here, you know? Improve the roads and stay safe.
At the end of the day, we're just regular folks trying to do our jobs, rebuilding Alabama, and get home to our families.
We're working for you in Alabama's work zones. Help us get home. Drive safe, Alabama.
Welcome back to The V, the voice of Alabama politics. Susan, Alabama has been paying outrageous amounts of money to defend correctional officers who have abused inmates. Now, let's go back to the basic principle of criminal justice. A person loses their freedom. They do not lose their humanity. And these correctional officers have been accused of violence against these inmates. They have also, the state has spent tons of money defending them and paying out to the abused inmates. And this is taxpayer dollars.
Mm-hmm. We're talking about 68% of the fund to defend state employees from anything. 68% of it is going to the prisons. We've got 12 officers right now being sued for excessive force in 4 different instances. And in the past, most of the times that any of these correctional officers have been sued for excessive force, it has ended up in a $5 to $6 figure settlement. So yeah. I mean, this is insane. I mean, we've been in the Alabama prisons, and they don't have enough correctional officers to start with. But by the way, these 12 correctional officers are still employed by the state. They're not suspended or anything under these charges.
Josh, number one, it is illegal to use excessive force, even against an incarcerated person. That is not legal.
Called assault.
But here we are. You know, you can't go out in the street because you're a correctional officer and just assault somebody. Mm-hmm. But here we're having it in the prisons, and they're winning these cases, and they're making these settlements. Mm-hmm. But the taxpayer doesn't even know that they're footing the bill.
Right. All right. Look, this kind of goes back to the conversation that we've had for a long time about the overall performance of the Alabama Department of Corrections, and what we want this to be and how we want it to function. It costs us more money to run a bad corrections department than it would to run a good corrections department. We could clean this up. We could do these things. We could. The problem that it seems to me is that we're not paying our correctional officers enough money. All right, we're not giving them enough benefits. We're not attracting people that are of a professional quality to come in and run these things. Okay, because if you were doing that, you would attract people who would care about this job to the point that they would not do some of the things that they're doing. All right, whether it be the drug trafficking or the beating up people or whatever is happening in these prisons. And if you were running it properly, you also wouldn't have a corrections department whose tendency it is to cover these things up. and that's what they're doing. You hear the stories of people. You hear their photos of these prisoners with basically their brains showing, and they talk about them dying of natural causes. Maybe it's natural in a prison to fall off of something and bust your head wide open. I don't know, but what I'm saying is it's deplorable what we have allowed to happen here with our money to our people. Okay, these are people, these are human beings, and if we treated dogs the way that we treat the prisoners in Alabama prisons, there would be outrage from every corner of this state. And
Absolutely.
What we're doing is ridiculous, and this is just a big part of it right here. We're paying out money to defend people that we know are doing bad things, and they need to be replaced, and we need to have a better system of operating.
It's so bad that if you guys remember, last year we saw the footage of a prisoner who had been put in a refrigerator and left, dragged across the floor, dragged in and out of I think it was a sheriff's car to take him to the hospital when it eventually died. Yeah. And this footage was taken by a correctional officer that felt so bad about what was happening that they could no longer tolerate it without bringing it to public attention.
Well, I want to change to the next topic, which is the fact that both Doug Jones and Tommy Tuberville have put forward the idea of a real wholesale investigation of what's going on in the prisons. Now, from what I can tell, at the moment, they're looking at taking different approaches, Josh. But we heard a speech from Tommy Tuberville in which he said he was going to hold these people at the top accountable for what is going on in the prison. And we've heard Doug Jones say that he wants basically a forensic audit, which is what it's going to take to do it. I don't know if he called for a forensic audit, but that's where you get to it. Right. The only people who understand forensic audits are wealthy husbands whose wives want some money. But again, that's a big deal.
Right, it is. It is a big deal. But that both candidates for governor are talking about it. It is a big deal. I would say that it's a somewhat bigger deal that the Republican nominee for governor is doing this, and it's only because the state is run by Republicans. Okay, so they're in every state office. They have a supermajority in the legislature. For the Republican gubernatorial nominee to come out and say that we've got a prison problem to the point that some of these folks need to be in jail in the prisons that they're currently overseeing is a hell of a thing. I mean, it really is. It is a huge moment for this, and I've congratulated Tuberville on saying this a number of times, and I'm going to continue to, because it is a sea change from what we've been hearing from other Republicans around the state, including Steve Marshall, who sat on all of these things and not done anything during the course of his tenure there, and somewhat to Kay Ivey as well. Kay Ivey's been in charge of this thing for a long time, and these problems have festered under her watch. I'm not going to lay everything at her feet, but she's the governor, and the legislature is also at fault here. The people who've led our legislature need to do something.
Well, I congratulate both of them for making this a big issue. I also hope they will keep that promise to do it. But we're going to leave it right there. You're watching the voice of Alabama politics. We'll be right back.
Your property is your home, your investment, and your legacy. Across the country, scammers are filing fraudulent deeds, often without the owner knowing until it's too late. REACT is a free alert system. If a document is filed using your name or tied to your property, you'll be notified within 24 hours.
Property fraud is a crime, and the faster we know it, the faster we can act.
Sign up today. Protect your property, protect your legacy.
Alabama has a hands-free driving law, and that means you can't hold your mobile phone while making a call. Oh, and no writing messages, recording, or watching videos either. Plus, you can only use a single button or swipe of a finger to answer a call. So what's a driver to do? Alabama's hands-free driving law is in effect. Follow it.
Welcome back to the V, the voice of Alabama politics. Susan, SNAP benefits, which is the program that allows poor individuals to get what we commonly refer to as food stamps to supplement their food purchasing power. Now, what has happened is, under the one big, beautiful act, whatever it was called, to give tax breaks to billionaires and corporations, those programs have been cut dramatically, and the state has got to pay for a larger portion. The state didn't used to pay for it all. They have to pay for a large portion. Now, this is part of this is being sold under in cutting waste and fraud. Now, it's going to disenfranchise some 82,000 Alabamians. But the fraud part is the thing where they're absolutely lying. Now, is there some fraud? Of course there is. But when they talk about error rates, most people think they're talking about fraud. Error rates will determine how much each state has to pay in their portion of the SNAP benefit. Alabama's going to have to pay almost $200 million just to keep the basic program going. But can you elaborate a little bit more on what this error rate is?
Yes, I want to point out too, though, that of the 82,000 Alabamians, 32,000 of those are children.
Yeah.
What they've done is there is what's called an error rate in judging any agency by its efficiency. And what they're talking about there is not where there's fraud in there, that people are getting benefits they're not supposed to get, or they're gaming the system. What this is they look at the agency and they look at, are there errors in the way the agency's paying it out? Are they overpaying some people? Are they underpaying some people? Are they misappropriating administrative funds? That's what the error rate means. It does not mean fraud on the part of the recipient at all. It has to do with the agency itself. Now, what's kind of interesting here is that Alabama has one of the lower error rates in the country, but yet they're going to slap these changes on Alabama come the beginning of 2027. So we don't have as much time to try to figure out where those funds are going to come from. I think it's $146 million. Where are we going to get those funds? Where other states that have a larger error rate are giving them much more time to manage this transition, as well as in these transitions. Not only is it how much they're being able to give out and how much the state's going to, but the Fed has also shifted the administrative costs that they cover from a cut from 50%, 50-50 to now states are going to have to cover 75% of that administrative cost. So this, while it sounds like a very small deal, it's not. It's a huge deal.
Josh, I don't have to give you a soapbox at all. You already own the soapbox and the stadium that it's in. So give us your take.
Yeah, this is bullshit. I mean, it is taking money from the least of us to give to the wealthiest among us. It is taking money directly from children. We're talking about 23,000 children losing access to food because their parents are on the SNAP program. They didn't do anything wrong. They didn't commit any fraud. They didn't overstay. They didn't. They had nothing. They're just hungry people. And we've done this in exchange for allowing billionaires to write off the full cost of their private jets. And other such things like that. We could cover the entirety of everybody's cost for the SNAP program simply by stopping the Iran war, which has done nothing for anybody that I can see except drive up your costs for everything else. That covers it all. But why we feel like, and what drives me insane are the regular working people who are the car not starting today, or an unexpected job loss, or whatever, away from needing this SNAP program, punching down on their friends and neighbors who are on this and talking about them like they're they're mooching off the system and off of them because they needed this help for a little while. You know, if you look at the stats of the SNAP program and you see how much it does help, how much the people on it get help from this thing, go off that program and are never on it again. I want to say it's over 70% of the people use it for less than the authorized time and then are never on it again. Okay, and that is a tremendous program that helps people get their food. And all you hear about are these insane stories about how they saw some lady driving a Cadillac and having an iPhone and she was using her EBT card, and it's nonsense. Okay,
hey, John,
we've got to stop this.
Let me add insult to injury here in that
we're really running out of time. You're killing me here.
Let's not forget the food prices right now and how they're soaring.
Okay. Shoot, I was, wondering how come, what's the difference between the Vietnam War and the Iran War, Susan?
Donald Trump knew how to get out of that one.
Yeah, there you go. Anyway, I wanted to talk about maternal health, and there was a new study the ACLU did where they went and actually talked to mothers. We have maternity deserts. We have places where we just do not have health care, prepartum, postpartum, or pre-maternal health. And it is a dire situation in our state, and it is not being addressed. We got 57 seconds.
Yes, one thing in that fact that we do not have access to regional health care very much. 78% of maternal deaths are preventable.
If only there had been a program that we could have expanded that could have served these people and helped these hospitals to not close. I wish that somebody, it's probably a Democrat's fault for not screaming it loud enough or not putting his name on it. If only there had been a program that we could have expanded to help all these people and these hospitals and prevented these ambulance deserts, these maternal health care deserts, all of these problems that we have with rural hospitals closing. I wish somebody would have come up with some idea.
And the federal government pays 75% of that program, I think.
Hey, but don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Hey, listen, Trump's got his health care plan coming in a couple of weeks. I hear 2 weeks. 2 weeks out.
All right, we're going to have to leave it right there. In a state that says it is pro-life, prove it. You've been watching the voice of Alabama politics. You watch us because we watch them.